Hello, hello, and today cast we have Miluna Fausch. Miluna has a Bachelor of Science in Music Business and PhD in Holistic Psychology, and extensive training in voice, acting, energy, healing, and intuition. She truly has an intuitive and scientific problem-solving perspective, coming from years of multi-passion experience. Hi, and welcome. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. The pleasure to be here.
I would love to hear your story of how come you've done so many awesome, amazing things. And I know you're working with the voice. Tell us more.
The original instrument, our voice. Thank you. When I was a little girl, I wanted to be one of two things: a singer, very famous, or a race car driver. So there's something about acoustics and sound. And I'm just a naturally curious, very ambitious person. So I started singing lessons early on, piano lessons, flute lessons, but the voice won because I felt I was the best at it. Plus, we get to take our voice with us. Easiest instrument in the world. You take it everywhere you go. And I wanted to understand all aspects of being an entrepreneur. I was in sales, show business, all of that. So I got a psychology degree. I studied energy. I had a lot of bumps along the way and some major things that we can maybe talk about or you might want to hear about. And it seemed that everything came full circle because I had experience in many industries, many different ways of communicating, the psychology of effective communication, and just always being in love with the voice and how it works and how it can touch us.
That is amazing. I would love to learn, like, what is the number one mistake that people do with their voices?
I think they don't understand the support or that it's physical. So most people kind of tend to talk down there in the throat. So there's no awareness that the air and the tone needs to come up and out. Especially now that we're on these small cameras, it's even more important that our voice has carrying power. So I want to encourage people to think it has dimension and energy and air and tone and love, and it needs carrying power to reach to that other person and that audience.
And so, how we can do this?
Well, think about breathing for one thing, not holding our air, but lifting the chest, expanding the ribs, setting up the body and the posture. And then you soften the lower abdomen and just imagine that that air and sound must travel up and out. So the vocal cords are vibrating, but you're really thinking of producing sound from here. It's almost an upper lip sound. That's where I like to have folks visualize from.
Interesting. So, can we do this? Is
We
that will be doable?
Well, it is. You can just imagine, you can start with a hum. So take two fingers on either side. Hums are wonderful because you can feel it. And so to remind our audience, it's a physical thing, your voice. And you've got to feel it. Why? Because you can't see it. We can't see our voice. So if you put your fingers here and you do this,
In the nose. For those who is listening on audio, we're putting our two fingers to the nose.
oh, pardon me. Yes, not everyone's seeing, they're hearing.
Yes.
So our two fingers are on either side of our nose. So you can feel the vibration or the tingle. And then you just do this. You open your teeth a bit, close your lips around so it's very relaxed. And then, yes. And you can hear that it opens up to a correct pitch and I'm breathing the whole time. It's a giant coordination, actually.
What would you recommend? I'm as a not native American speaker and English language carrier, I could feel the difference even if I speak Russian. Like there's just a difference in sound. And is it my beliefs or something that is preventing me to use my voice lower?
It's
than
no,
just the throat.
you're not imagining it. Every language has a very different rhythm, a different pitch, a different style. Some of the languages are very staccato. Russian would be one of them. If you look at French or Italian, it's a sing song, there's a rhythm. The Latin languages, they all have their beautiful origins and ways. So some folks are like the British have a higher pitch. You've probably noticed, and there's a lot of rock and roll that comes out of England because of that higher pitch. It serves a purpose. So it's finding your pitch. And as long as it's produced healthy and it's not so high that we can't hear, hi, I'm Dr. Miluna would be ridiculous. You could not take me seriously, and it would be very hard to listen to that sort of voice. It would, for me, it would be painful to listen to a very incorrectly pitched or poorly produced voice.
I can totally relate because even if in Russia, you just said that we're more of a little bit more in the lower pitch.
Yes.
And when I moved to America, I remember I used to live in France and America in Thailand, so it's very different, even use of sounds and vowels. And in French, this most likely I can guess that they speak from the nose, like more of the sounds coming from the nose. And for Russian, we coming from like this part of our jar, and American speaks from the chest. But when I moved here, I started to hear a lot of ladies speaking very high voice, and I did not understand what was going on. So is that, you mean that this is something that we just developed since we're young and we get to correct that?
There are many reasons for speaking in a too high pitch. So there should always be some chest resonance, even though you're not in the throat. Of course, you're using the throat and you are feeling action within the larynx, within the bone that's protecting the actual vocal cords. So sometimes when I work with clients, there is an emotional reason, there is a trauma in the life. And some women speak in what I call a people pleasing voice. So, for example, let me tell you a story. I had a woman who was a client who was over 50 years old, but spoke like a teenage girl, very high pitched, very soft. Hi, Dr. Miluna, I don't know why I'm not being taken seriously. And what I found out is that her mother had passed away. Her father raised her. She was daddy's little girl, but she never moved beyond that trauma, that emotion. A professional 50-year-old businesswoman should not be in a people-pleasing young girl voice. She should be in an archetype of the sovereign or the good queen. That's the proper phase of life. So there's a lot to it, and I've developed a very unique archetype system that I work with.
Yeah, so I would love to know just why, let's just breach that. So why is it important for entrepreneurs? And I would love for you to share your gift and how our audience can find you.
Thank you. It's what I call evolving or maybe maturing or growing up the voice so that that voice matches your phase of life. So as a 50-year-old, I'm certainly over 50, I've learned so much. I've done so many things. I've had businesses. I've been in many industries. So it would not be in alignment. It would not be effective. It would not be compelling if I had the voice of an adolescent girl. It just simply would not make sense. Now, do I have all aspects in my voice? Yes, I have the young girl. Maybe when I tell a joke, it's playful. I have the mother voice, whether we've given birth to children or not, we have that nurturing mother. So maybe that's, perhaps you need to tell an employee something like you've got to let them go. Perhaps your mother voice comes in a little bit, the compassionate nurturing. Then you move to the sovereign phase, or what I call the good queen. That is the woman who has wisdom. She knows how to run a company, and she has the experience and credibility to prove it. Then we also have the grandmother voice. The sage, the old woman, the crone. That's the woman who's been on the planet a really long time. And you know what? She tells amazing stories.
All right, so share with us how our audience can find you and when they can grab your gift that you're sharing with us today.
Thank you. The website is pitchperfectexecutivespeaking.com. I would love to invite you to be a part of my Pitch Perfect Insider, my newsletter. You'll be informed of my upcoming book, which will be published in the spring, entitled Up-Level Your Communication.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And it was such an awesome and pleasure to learn a little bit more about our voices. Thank you. Dr. Miluna. Bye-bye. And thank you so much for watching this episode. Stay tuned in and come back tomorrow. And I'll see you tomorrow. And if you love this episode and you would love to see more of that, click the subscribe button to Purposeful Woman Podcast. And don't forget to text us to stay in tune with the Purposeful community for awesome tricks by texting to number +1 401 399 4105. And we will link descriptions in the episode to all of that we mentioned today. Bye. Turn your one day to day one with a purposeful day.